Well, good morning. Hey, mom and dad, grandma, grandpa, family friend. Guess what time it is? It's time for Senator VanderWall to read another story. I know we're not in school. Every once in a while, you have to take a break. And I want to give you a little break again today and say that education is important. Even though we're on a little bit of break because of COVID-19 and you can't have school the normal way, I know that our schools are working hard. It was always a special time for me to be able to come in and read to students. And I'm just going to extend this during the stay home, stay safe, and read a story again. Today, as I said last week, I was going to read a series of 4 books from around the state of Michigan. And today is the legend of the Petoskey Stone. So, kids, get ready for a story. Mom and dad, take a couple minute break. A father and his son were walking along the beach, searching for Petoskey stones. They looked through rocks that had washed up near the water's edge. They sifted through the sand and pulled stones from the shallows of Lake Michigan. The father was watching the water roll towards shore when all of a sudden a wave splashed at his feet. It was then he spotted the wet gray stone. It was round and smooth and had a beautiful sunburst pattern upon it. As he plucked it from the sand, he asked his son, "Has anyone ever told you the story about a Petoskey stone?" Long ago, in 1787, an Ottawa princess and her husband were leaving their winter home. He was a French fur trader who had been welcomed into her tribe as an honorary chief. And he had worked through the winter collecting furs in the area we all know and call Chicago. But when spring arrived, it was time for them to travel back to their summer hunting grounds along the shores of northern Lake Michigan. The family traveled day after day, but the journey was slow and hard because the princess was ready to give birth. One night, as they neared the mouth of the Kalamazoo River, she could not travel any further. The family made a shelter, and while the princess remained behind the deerskin door of the hut, her husband waited outside, listening to night sounds and admiring the stars in the sky. The princess began to give birth to a baby as the chief waited nearby. Hours passed and the stars dimmed. The moon began to fade and the night animals became quiet. But then as it became almost silent, only moments before the sun was ready to rise, the joyous cries of a newborn child filled the woods and echoed over the water. The chief held the baby in his hands, feeling deep and instant love. At that moment, the sun rose, casting ribbons of beautiful light through the trees. As sunshine fell softly upon the baby's face, the father said, "He shall be Petoskey, and he shall be an important man." He named him Petoskey because the word meant the rays of the rising sun, or sunbeams of promise. He knew his was a good name because it meant there was always the promise of a new day. As his father adored him, Petoskey was bathed in the most beautiful morning light, and it seemed as if the nearby lakes, rivers, and forests whispered his name with approval. Not long after the family reached their village in Northwoods, where the baby known as Petoskey grew into a young boy, he loved to play in the lake and could easily catch the biggest and the best fish. Petoskey also liked to hunt for food. He would walk quietly through the woods, and always when he found his game, he was thankful and useful with it. And when the snow arrived, Petoskey went to search of animals for their fur. Furs would keep his family warm or be traded for goods. He set traps and snares in the forest and grew better at the challenge every year. As Petoskey grew into manhood, he became such a skillful hunter that one year he killed 40 bear and sold their hides for a very good price. Over time, Petoskey became a fur trader like his father had been. He traveled by water to Indian villages collecting furs. He piled his birch bark canoe high with pelts and raised a sail made from an old blanket. As a gathered breeze and pushed him along, he sailed through an inland waterway to the east side of Michigan. From there, he pushed on to Mackinac Island, where he would trade them for goods. Petoskey loved his homeland along the shores of northern Michigan. It seemed as if all nature belonged to him, and that he had a special place along the bay. Eventually, Petoskey married and became a father. He was known as the headsman, which meant that he was third in line in his tribe. This was a place of honor, one that he earned through his intelligence and fairness. Over the years, Petoskey was such a successful trader, hunter, and farmer that he was able to purchase land near a beautiful river that danced like a ribbon through the forest and flowed right into the big lake. It was known as the place where bears walked beside the flowing water, and Petoskey liked it very much. So Petoskey built a wooden home there at the edge of the lake, settling on the shore where the sand rippled in waves among small gray stones. But things were beginning to change. A town was beginning to grow in the area near Petoskey's home. Pioneers came from the east to build homes deep in the woods. Farmers came to plow long stretches of grass into farms. Business people came to build lumber mills and stores. One man, Hiram O. Rose, came to set up a general store and another business. He quickly became friends with Petoskey and began to call him Chief Petoskey as a sign of respect, because most people knew Petoskey and liked him very much. It wasn't long before the whole town began to call him Chief as a sign of admiration. But the growing area needed an official name, so one night several people gathered to choose just the right one. It didn't take long for everyone to agree that it should be named Petoskey, after Chief Petoskey. It wasn't long before people from other places wanted to visit the town named after Petoskey. Some came by steamship, while others came by train. They came to enjoy the beautiful lake and to breathe the fresh air. But they also came to walk along the shores in search for a special stone that appeared to hold the rays of the rising sun inside, because the stones seemed to be found everywhere near Petoskey. They soon earned the name the Petoskey Stone. The father shifted the stone from one hand to the other, admiring the sunburst made so long ago. "When I find a Petoskey stone," he told his son, "I know that I hold the spirit of Petoskey in my hand. I carry the promise of tomorrow, which means I will have one more day in the place I love best, the person I love most." With that, the father placed the Petoskey stone in the son's hand and whispered, "That place is here, and that person is you." The little boy held the stone as tight as he could and looked at his father with love, and just then the sunlight fell upon them. It seemed as if all the nearby lakes, rivers, and forests whispered Petoskey's name once again. Today, when people search for Petoskey stones, they hope to find the rays of the rising sun. And when they do, they carry a sunbeam of promise, the face of Petoskey, who was showered with the rays of the rising sun from the moment he was born. Each stone is a reminder of the man who gave his name to the land he loved, and to beloved stone that offers the promise of the shining new tomorrow for everyone. And that's the story of the Petoskey Stone. Now, I'm sure some of you have searched for a Petoskey stone. Some of you have found Petoskey stones. But I will tell you this, I know that when I go up and visit the shores of Lake Michigan, north of the Sleeping Bear Dunes, I continue to look for Petoskey stones because they are kind of a cool stone. So Mom and Dad, Grandma and Grandpa, if you ever have that opportunity to take the kids out and look for a Petoskey stone, it's a great way to spend an afternoon or a morning along the shores of Lake Michigan. Again, thank you for the opportunity to read, and I look forward to reading a story again next week. And again, stay safe, stay strong, God bless, and thanks again.